So there's a lot of change that has happened in India, and a lot of change, particularly in the last 72 hours, and that will impact
Yes.
the commercial and the retail real estate industry in India. So in the last 72 hours, we've had a new government that has been formed. First time in 30 years, it's not a coalition government, it's a single party government, which means that the agenda that the government has come into power, they will be able to drive it. In the last 30 years, we've had this coalition government, and each of those coalition partners, the regional small parties which were supporting the big party, were pulling and pushing their own agenda, as a result of which the general agenda of the economy could not actually progress. For the first time since 1984, we've now got one party who came into power on three accounts to say, we want to bring in more foreign direct investment in India. We want to bring down corruption, which unfortunately is a big thing in India. And we want to make sure that both the Indian and the overseas businesses who are doing business in India, it becomes easy for them to do business, which is phenomenal. And now you translate these three things into real estate. What does it mean? It means that there is going to be a lot more interest that will start to generate from private equity funds, sovereign wealth funds, institutional funds to come into India and buy real estate in there. Today, if you were to look at it, just Blackstone itself is now the second largest developer in India. They own 21 million square feet of office space in India. We believe that this government will open up REITs over the next 12 or 18 months. And with the opening up of the REITs, you're going to find a lot more American, lot more Middle Eastern capital, a lot more capital coming in from Singapore, perhaps even China, Japan, into India, into retail and real estate. So we're excited with the prospects on the investment side. As far as the leasing side of the business is going on, that's been doing very well, irrespective of what was happening in the local market, because each year since 2005, American firms have taken more space on lease in India than even the Indian firms, which is interesting. So the IBM, Accenture, Microsoft, Cisco's, all these companies have large presence in India. And because they've got such a significant presence and they continue to grow the footprint, they grow the footprint faster on lease than even the Indian companies. So because the US is doing pretty good and the outsourcing is doing well, as a result of which the leasing business on the office side has been doing very, very well.
Stepping back a second, with this new government, he's going to be rocking the boat a bit. And isn't that going to... there's bound to be some sort of resistance to that with the establishment.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. You're absolutely spot on. It's not going to be easy on two accounts. One, the expectation of the people is very high. So, from my perspective, I'm just so scared at this point in time, because people who voted him have a huge amount of expectation. Now, he's not going to have a magic wand. He's not going to be able to do stuff in the next 100 days, which is what the public is wanting. The stock market is really rocketed. The rupees become a lot more stronger compared to the dollar. And there is a lot more positivity on the street. But, realistically, it's going to take time. The fundamentals of the economy are strong, but some of the problems are pretty much deep into that economy. They're not going to be sorted out in 100 days. If it was that easy, then many other people would have been able to do that. So the first thing that I feel is that, there needs to be more patience in the businesses, in the people who voted for him, in the overall community, in the international investor community, because everybody will want things to be done like that, and it's not going to be possible to do that. The second problem is going to be on the corruption and the infrastructure. Again, both those things are very deep rooted. So lack of infrastructure, and infrastructure, again, you can't just get it like that at a snap of a finger to put in the roads and the train network and the, transportation hubs and the ports. It's going to take time to do that. Even if you start today doing a new port, it'll take 4, 5, 6 years to do that. So it's pretty deep rooted, and it'll take time for those to happen. And the second part of that is that the corruption, not at the political level, because he's going to bring in the right politicians to run the government, but at the bureaucracy level, at the bureaucrat level, which is the second tier below the politicians, that may be too deep rooted. So that will take time. I know that he's going to take steps, and he's getting in the right mindset of people along with him to run the government. But the bureaucracy for several decades have got so much deep rooted into the way that they've been doing business. I think that may take time for it to get cleaned up.